Let me grab my nuts real quick. Okay, we're going on this too. It's still shooting us vertical.
That's fine.
That's okay.
It's supposed to be because that's
okay.
on. That's streaming.
You can just see my shoulder.
Wait
With him, it had him on the bottom and us on the top, so it wasn't.
Should we be vertical? I guess not, because this is Facebook and YouTube. So, but I think Facebook and YouTube do.
You can choose if you
And
want.
Instagram. Yeah. Facebook and
But you
YouTube
can
will
have it
still.
full screen or like this.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I did vertical here.
Mm.
We're good. This gets the wide. That's why this is important.
Okay, because this one isn't recording. It's just for
Ah!
people to
Recording.
Uh-oh, there's blockage. Come on this side, Innocent. Oh, no, it's not. I was seeing the door. I mean, there is something a little bit. But it's just I'm getting
this.
the door.
That's okay. Yeah, that's
The lightness of the door.
such and stuff. I'm thinking I was going to complete my sparkle wall, and then I started shooting videos, and I noticed there's like a blue-green hue that it reflects on me.
Oh.
And I'm like, I really have to take that out and put it in another.
Oh.
And you can keep it. It's really cool.
Well, I'm thinking of like replacing it with silver. Because silver's not going to turn my face a different color.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to waste it all. This was a good method.
Yeah, the rubber band.
Okay, I'm going to get my nuts and another fruit.
Just chilling. Live. Hi, everybody. We're doing giveaways soon. Courtney's grabbing the giveaway items right now, so stay tuned. Hey. What's up, girl? Gnarly Nick. Lots of people joining. Dee Dee? Is that your name? Dee Dee? Hi. Hi, Dee Dee. We can't see chats over here on this one. I wonder why. We're supposed to be able to. Didn't we have a good 4th of July? Courtney's not in here right now, but I personally kind of hate the 4th of July, to be honest. So I just stayed home. My dogs get really scared. I had to be up really early the next morning for school, so I was kind of annoyed by all the fireworks going off late at night. So didn't really, and it was really where I live. It was really, really, really hot, like 110 degrees. So no outdoor activities either. Did you have a good 4th of July, Dee Dee? Did you have a good 4th of July?
Well, my 4th of July is only ever holding my dog and
That's what I just
making
said.
sure he doesn't have a heart attack.
Exactly, yeah. Oh my gosh, funny story. Finally, this is the first year that I've gotten like actual medication for my dog, Minnie, who is not Minnie. She is very large, but that's why her name is ironic, so it's funny. Oh, Lena. Your name is Lena, not Dee Dee. Okay. It could be, Dee Dee could be your new nickname. Finally got meds for her because usually we've tried like CBD. That didn't really work. Benadryl didn't really work. So we tried the official.
Xanax around here.
Well, I forget the name of the medication that she gave us, but it she was like, try it the night before 4th of July because she can have
Oh.
1 to 2 tablets. So see how she does with 1. If you feel like you're going to need 2 on 4th of July, give her 2. The 1 knocked her out so bad that she was still so out of it the whole next day.
Oh my gosh.
And Gray was texting me. I was at school.
Are
Gray
these
was
the
like,
pink ones? Little round pink ones?
they're white. Gray was like, Minnie's acting really weird and really high, and she could barely walk this morning when I took her out of her crate. I was like, oh my god, so I didn't give her any on 4th of July night because I was too freaked out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, our other dog didn't react like that to
Oh,
her.
gabapentin. Yeah, we have a ton of gabapentin. Everybody in this house has nerve problems.
Gabapentin can work for dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, well, my son takes that. Maybe we share one of his. Or maybe we'll ask our vet for gabapentin next time.
Well, thanks for joining us, friends. Are you ready for a giveaway?
Giveaway.
This won't be our last giveaway. We'll have another giveaway later on. So stick around. But first, we have my nuts. These are walnut snacks with a fun little reusable tote.
Yeah.
You have an appropriate humor like me.
It says, quit staring at my nutsack.
And we have sweet and savory flavors of walnuts. They're very clean ingredients. Like this is just bananas, walnuts, and sugar. And that's it. And very low sugar. But they still taste good. We got barbecue, we got coconut and maple and buffalo and sweet and spicy. This is the only non-vegan one, is the Garpar, because the garlic parmesan, we call it Garpar. Because of the parmesan, obviously. Yeah, so if you want my nuts, say so. Who wants my nuts? And we don't have much of a chat going. Oops, wait, I should connect the chat here.
Yeah, I didn't see anything pop up over here last
Nobody
time.
nobody was commenting. I think everybody must be out on vacation or something. I don't know if you guys could hear me or could listen, but we are giving away my walnut snacks. So if you want them, say so in the comments. It's the walnut snacks, the flavored walnut snacks, along with this very inappropriate tote bag. Any takers? We will send them to you. You gotta be in the United States. You gotta be at least 18. Anyone? Any takers? All you have to do is...
Me, she wants them.
All right, I'm gonna count to 10. If nobody else
Lena.
wants them, you're the winner.
Lena gets them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait for it. 10. All right, you got it. So, I'm his favorite girl. Please DM me your address and what you want, the walnut snacks, so that I can remember to send it to you later. Thank you.
Yay, first giveaway.
All right, cool.
Check.
Do we have any other people online? We only have 4 people right now, so maybe we can stop in the middle and we have a little more visitors.
Yeah.
We also have fidgets, we also have stickers, we also have things that make your fire go rainbow.
Yeah, I'm interested. I like a gay fire better than a straight fire, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Episode 10.
Episode 10! We
Double
did it!
digits.
Yay! All right, today we're talking about, I've been getting a lot of questions about ADHD rage, so to speak, which to me is just emotional dysregulation. So I figured we just talk about emotional dysregulation.
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge or opinions you'd like to share on the topic?
I have a lot to say on this topic,
All
just
right.
experientially, for
Hi,
sure.
Tammy. Were you diagnosed with ADHD? Was this a situation where you got diagnosed as a kid and your parents didn't do anything about it? And so you went as an adult? Anyway, congratulations. Let me know how the journey's going for you, if you need help getting on meds and all that. then get the fidgets. I'm his favorite. Girls, stick around and we'll do the fidgets in a bit.
In a little bit, yeah. We'll do another giveaway. Those fidgets are awesome.
Yeah, they're fun.
Oh, you can
The
have
magnet ones, yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can just start by kind of, do you have an experience of your own with experiencing, I mean, I know we both have had emotional dysregulation, but like the particular,
Oh, I get the angriest.
how you would
of
be
the
like,
angry.
you get the angriest of the angry. Okay, let's,
I inherited my dad's temper, as I said before. I
Okay.
knew I was neurodivergent. Oh yes.
oh yes.
You want me to get into it?
Sure, that's why we're here.
I suppose.
I have a lot to say too, so we can
Okay.
just sort of banter.
Okay. Okay, so I want to start with, we have emotional dysregulation. Not everybody, but it's pretty standard with ADHD and autism and other neurodivergencies and other mental conditions. And it's neurological. This is not just bad parenting or like we never learned how to regulate our emotions. This is something that we were born with that is a structural problem in our brain, So, or, by structural I mean like this is a biology thing where, our receptors aren't doing what they're supposed to, or our neurons aren't doing what they're supposed to. So we will always have emotional dysregulation. Now, what that means is, what is emotional dysregulation? It is really just exaggerated emotions. It's not inappropriate emotions. So it is appropriate to be sad that someone dies, right? Well, someone who was on your cheerleading squad 25 years ago, you haven't spoken to her since, you never really hung out, you weren't in each other's houses. If she dies and you're devastated for 3 days, that's emotional dysregulation. That was an example straight from my own life.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds very specific.
I was like, why am I so devastated by her death? Like, I loved her. She was a great person and, all the stuff. And it was tragic, but like, this is not an appropriate amount of emotion for this event in my life.
I think it's emotion that's like out of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm running out of words since this is the second episode. I'm like,
yeah, the spoons are dwindling.
Out of proportion, disproportionate
Sure.
to the
Yes.
event. Yes.
Appropriate type, disproportionate amount. Yes. So that's how you know it's emotional dysregulation and not something else. Like, I think the big one is like depression or like manic depression. That just like comes and goes as it pleases. But for us, it's directly related to your environment, to the events that are going on. It could even be internal, like you thought of something and then suddenly you're, whoa. But it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's not like a hormonal imbalance. So, anger is part of that. Now, personally, so if this is a neurological thing, a biological problem, there's only going to be so much we can do about it, but we can do some things. And so, but I don't want you to expect these problems to just go away, because I want you to just make peace with the fact that this will always be a thing. We just have to understand our own triggers, understand what kind of accommodations we need so that we don't hurt the people around us with it. And so it doesn't get us too far down in the weeds and cause a whole lot of dysfunction in our lives. So I don't even know where to start, man, with my own experiences. I mean, I don't need to. If you want stories, I'll give you stories. But yeah, I'm a crier. Everything that I feel comes out in crying, even when I'm happy, even when I'm grateful, and even when I'm angry, frustrated, stressed, you name it, I'm crying. It's been extremely problematic in professional settings. I look like an absolute basket case. I'm sure many people have thought that of me, and still do. I am afraid to get another job in an office because I know that there are times where I just cry and can't help it. So the way that I've dealt with and I get real angry. I have some triggers that will make me yell, and I want to throw things. I haven't thrown things yet, thankfully. I haven't hit anybody yet, thankfully. If I've gotten this far, I can probably avoid it my whole life. But but I certainly understand those who do end up at that point. Not that it's okay. It's not, obviously. But we're here to help you kind of find some tools to avoid that. And for me, I have found that knowing your triggers is a big one. I know that I get very frustrated with learning new things, with like practicing the piano. Practicing the piano and going to the gym are two real big triggers for me. Excuse me. I think the piano is one of the biggest, and there's a whole story behind it. But now I know the conditions around like what's going to set me off and if I'm going to do this thing, I have to be in a certain mindset. I have to be in a very resilient place, and it has to be with certain people. But that's come from a whole lot of meltdowns and a whole lot of me going, what is it about this that keeps triggering me? And unraveling that for myself and connecting the dots and then putting rules around it. So really the idea is I'm not going to try to tell you to not have all the extreme emotions. You're going to have the extreme emotions, but the place that we need to be able, and we all have different levels of control over that. So wherever it starts all the way back from the start of whatever conflict or event it is, right? And then it escalates, it starts to escalate until you've lost control, and now you're doing things that you're going to regret, saying things that you're going to regret. Either way, how early? Where is the point where you lose control? You have to understand that about yourself. For me, I can feel myself get triggered, and I can hear my voice start to crack, and I feel the tightness in my chest, and I can say, I need to remove myself from this conversation, or I need a minute. And that's it for me. Beyond that, if I convey that to someone and they don't honor it, boom, explosion. So I have to, and I know that there are some people who are triggered by me saying, I have to disconnect myself. There are people who have like abandonment trauma who, when I say I need a minute, they go, what? And so it's triggering for them. So I have to be proactive in my relationships and I'm not just talking romantic relationships, I'm talking about my very own mother. I have to give a heads up to people of like, hey, I need to be able to say that I'm triggered and I need to leave. And that needs to be okay. Mm-hmm. I promise I'll come back. If you need me to give you a time or something, that's fine. But I need to be able to remove myself from that situation once I say it. Otherwise, I won't have control. And that has helped me a lot because now at least I know my parameters and I can safeguard myself. And there's been times pretty recently where I acknowledged that and I was super triggered and I was like, if I let this happen one more second, I'm going to resort to physical violence, and that's going to ruin my life. That's going to have humongous consequences. So I have to leave right now. And so it's really about protecting yourself. That's how I manage anger. In the moment, in those triggered moments, like those little moments of conflict or high escalated emotions. There was, excuse me. Okay, so I'm an influencer. I deal with trolls on social media. Before that, I got in a lot of heated debates online, particularly during the election with Bernie Sanders, where there was like a lot of people upset about what happened with Bernie Sanders, blah, blah. We won't get into all that, but there was a lot of passionate opinions happening. And I really let it get to me, and I let it cause a whole lot of stress. This is another part about protecting yourself. So these emotions cause a ton of stress, and stress is really bad for your heart. It's really bad for your brain. This can cause cardiovascular problems, metabolic issues, neurodegenerative issues. That's why we're so prone to all these things, is those high levels of stress. So we have to avoid those situations. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have political discussions or have, approach uncomfortable topics, but you have to do it with certain rules in place to safeguard yourself. And as we were talking in the last episode, I realize I'm wearing a shirt. It's the same day as last episode, folks, so I'm in the same shirt. Okay, so
I changed. I wanted to give the illusion of a new day, but the ruse is
okay, as we were talking in the last episode with ADHD Druids, aka Coach Michael, I just sketched. Hold on. Okay, yeah. As we discussed in the last episode with ADHD Druids / Coach Michael, there are times when what you have to say is helpful and times when it's just lost. And part of it is identifying when you're in which situation. So somebody who's just like blurting out a lot of insults and emotional and personal attacks and sound bites, and they're not listening and they don't care, that's a lost cause. If somebody cares a lot about the topic and is just giving their perspective, and it may be sprinkled in with some condescension and whatnot, that's somebody who you can actually have a discussion with. But you have to remember that you can easily get sucked into their emotion. And so you have to go into it with that awareness, and you have to have rules for yourself. And the rules that have helped me are making sure, excuse the term, that my shit don't stink. And ever since I started focusing on, because it's really about us, right? It's my life is about making myself proud, being the person I want to be, and it's not about pleasing people. I don't want to please people that shouldn't be pleased by my existence. I don't know if that makes sense, but my goal is not to please people, because you can't please everyone. My goal is to fight for what I believe in, be the person that I'm proud of, go to bed every night going, I'm really happy with how I handled that. Because at the end of the day, I don't ruminate about what somebody else said to me. I ruminate about my own behavior. I only ruminate about what someone says to me if it's about my own behavior. If someone says that I'm a hypocrite or I'm a whatever, they point out something that I feel really, I don't want to be that person. So my goal in every conversation, in every discussion, is to act in a way that I will be proud of. That does not include personal attacks, condescension, insincere questions like leading questions, manipulation, playing to emotions, any kind of manipulation or emotionally driven tactics, I don't think are helpful in the discussion. And making progress in the discussion or in protecting yourself, not getting triggered. So if we stick to facts, how I feel, asking genuine questions, I try to also remember that no villain thinks they're a villain. Everybody thinks that they're the hero. So even if somebody is spewing stuff that I think is absolutely horrible, and how could anybody think that? Instead of judging them, I get curious and go, okay, how could anybody think that? What is their thought behind it? Like, why? What's different between their brain and mine? And so you start asking all the questions that fill in those gaps. And it leads to empathy, right? It all comes down to empathy. The more empathy that we exercise, the more we understand where the disconnect is. And we can actually start figuring out how to meet in the middle. And we don't have to meet in the middle. I'm never going to meet in the middle with somebody who, in a religious discussion. I'm an atheist, and we're just not going to believe the same things. And so I just go, okay, agree to disagree, because that's a lost cause, right? But we can have arguments, and then we go, oh, it looks like the disconnect is because I'm an atheist and they're religious. Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, we'll leave it alone. But if something is triggering and upset to you, I always challenge myself. I also try not to talk to people about what they should do, because I don't want to assume anything about other people. I don't know all of the circumstances in anybody's life. Even the closest people to me, there's stuff that I don't know about their circumstances, thoughts in their head, their history, what they ate this morning. So shoot. I don't say anything about them. I only talk about myself. Okay, so since I'm self-focused and I just want to be somebody that I'm proud of, and I want to fight for my causes, and I don't want to be insulting or hurting or unfair to anyone, God damn it. Spoons are gone. I'm just sketching.
Yeah.
I was saying, being fair to them, don't know their circumstances. Part of that is not, okay. I always assume if something is triggering me or confusing me, I assume that there is information that I don't have. And that might mean facts that I haven't heard yet. It might mean a different perspective that I've never thought about. Just be careful, because sometimes Charlie hides in those blankies and you can step right on her. I've done it so many times. I always assume that there's information that I don't have, and that could be it could be facts, it could be someone's perspective, a perspective that I haven't looked at yet. It could be someone's culture that I'm just not familiar with. It could be their experience of something that I've never experienced or I've never heard of, or never entertained that could happen or could influence somebody. So even if the information is someone's gap in their knowledge, well, that's still new information. Oh, this is where the disconnect is because you don't have this information, so I'm going to give it to you. So even that is an assumption of my own, like, I don't have all the information. And part of that is, oh, it looks like you don't. The reason we're not agreeing is because you don't know that's XYZ. And that can usually, with those rules, I have been able to, I think, engage with people in a way that doesn't upset me too much and has been effective. Like I said, I have turned a couple trolls just by hanging with them and giving the benefit of the doubt, like extreme benefit of the doubt. Like even with the most despicable people that you can think of, there's a reason behind their behavior. What is that? What have they gone through? What have they seen? what has influenced them to have that perspective. Because if you can understand that, you can meet them at it and start to point out, what gaps there might be, what inconsistencies there might be, or learn from it. Maybe it's information you don't have. And I have to go into those discussions assuming that there's information I don't have. And it's proactive humility, and it helps me stay resilient throughout the conversation because it keeps me from getting too personally invested. And like we were saying in the last episode, the more emotionally invested you are, the harder it is to admit you're wrong or entertain new information and change your mind. So I try to go into each discussion intentionally. I really try not to answer comments when I don't have the spoons to actually give it my time and my thoughtful time and energy, because I don't ever want to just emotionally lash out at people, because I don't think that's helpful. I don't know about you, but my opinion has never changed from someone calling me an idiot or insulting my intelligence or calling me ugly or saying you have pink hair, what do you know? That kind of stuff. That's not going to change my mind. So why do it? Why not just be human and understand that there's reasons that people feel the way that they do? And asking those questions and meeting them where they're at doesn't mean that you have to agree with them at all. It means, in fact, it's quite the opposite. It's showing your resilience in the topic. And if you really care that much about the topic, you'll want all of the information around it. And if somebody else doesn't have it, you want to share it. So that's been those have been my tools for avoiding those situations. Obviously, I'm not perfect. Here's another tool, is allowing myself imperfection. The point where I realized that perfection is unattainable, it's unrealistic. We're humans. Humans are real dirty and messy, and we don't learn things until we make mistakes. So really, the more mistakes you make, the more valuable of a person you become, as long as you learn from them. So not only do I allow myself to be imperfect, obviously I use those moments of imperfection to learn, but I also ask for those accommodations in my surroundings. When people, here's a good example. One of my most viral videos is the Tesla versus Chevette thing, where I do a big metaphor about driving a broken down Chevette while everybody else is driving Teslas. Of course, there's thousands of people who commented about Teslas are garbage, they blow up, and blah, blah, blah,
Elon Musk sucks.
And I said, you know what? I'm never going to come up with a perfect metaphor that makes sense to everyone. So hopefully you can understand my imperfection and forgive me and still take away the sentiment behind the video. And that shuts them down. They go, oh, okay, yeah. They acknowledge it too. Yeah, she's human. There isn't a perfect metaphor for anything because they're inherently two different things. So anyway, allowing myself to be imperfect, but also holding myself accountable to learn from my mistakes and grow has been really, really helpful. Understanding my PDA triggers. If you guys aren't familiar with pathological demand avoidance, also known as persistent drive for autonomy. Excuse me. I do have a PDA video that you can watch that kind of explains it a bit, but that can unknowingly cause a whole lot of triggered anger. So if you know your PDA triggers, that's super important. Know your preferred types of styles of communication. How do you prefer that someone asks you to do something? The more you can communicate that to the people around you, the more you can avoid those triggers. And unfortunately, yeah, this is a disability and it's going to require avoiding triggers because you can't tough love yourself out of this. I know that we grew up in a tough love era where it was like, no excuses. It's not an excuse, it's a disability. It's like that guy can't walk because he has a disability. It's not an excuse. So self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, understanding that you're imperfect, but working with it and knowing your parameters and asking for the accommodations that you need according to those parameters. And it's really healthy to sit down with your partner, with your family, with your loved ones, even with your boss, and be like, these are where this is the point where I am uncontrollable. So if we can, here's what I need from you in these kinds of moments.
That's all. Okay, so you're talking a lot about like tools and tactics. We're gonna jump in the time machine and go back to like the 1980s, 1990s when I was growing up, and I didn't ever learn any tools. I wasn't ever given any tactics. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of heightened emotion all of the time. That was the dynamic. But at the same time, you weren't really allowed to have emotion. So you get pushed to the point where you're having the emotion, but then you get in trouble for having the emotion, right? So, but no one tells you how to deal with that. And so I went into adulthood with all of these unresolved issues and all of these questions and all of this shame about the way that I react in certain situations. Because it is a big source of shame for many of us who can have moments where we get out of control with our emotions, cause a scene, maybe throw things like Courtney said, throw things, slam doors, yell, scream,
say things that are below the belt.
Say things that are, I don't know if I've ever really had that as one of my, but I'll definitely.
There's people who get real mean.
There are people who do get really mean when they're angry. I'm more of just like a door slammer, a stomp around and throw things, a break something. I've put a hole in the wall a few times in my life. Like, it's just, you get to that point where that's it, and you're over the edge, you're past that point. To me, having both the ADHD and the autism is like, there's the ADHD rage where there's the snap point, but then there's also the meltdown that can co-occur with that, where you're just like fully, it's a mishmash collage of just so much going on. And then there's the recovery period after that, right? Where you're like, what just happened? I'm so embarrassed now. Like, you get a moment of clarity afterwards where you're like, okay. And that happens to you enough times in your life where you get to the point where, like you were just talking about, like, how can I mitigate this? What can I put in place to prevent me from getting to this point? What can I do to where if I do get to this point where we can like decrease the level of damage that is done, right? So I think that's really kind of what I started working through. This really all came to a big head for me during the pandemic. And again, referencing back to the last episode where we were talking about George Floyd and like the BLM movement and trying to be like really involved in that and trying to get like on the activist side of things and just being on top of being, it's COVID, we're quarantined, I'm freaked out, I'm a germaphobe, I don't want to get COVID, like I have a little bit of health anxiety. Like, there was so much going on at that time that I was so stressed out that my emotional dysregulation was 1,000 times worse than it usually is. And that's what actually led me to both of my diagnoses, was because I was so out of control much of the time that it got to a point where I was like, what is going on? Like, what is going on?
I'm a person that I don't recognize.
Yeah, what is going on? Like, I've had these brief episodes in the past spaced out and under very specific circumstances, but it got to the point where I was in burnout. I know that now looking back. I was totally burned out, and when you're burned out, your threshold for everything is lowered. And there was so much stress and so much hopelessness and sadness and anger and everything that I was feeling about the world and the circumstances. And I just kept, it was like the littlest things that would set me off. It was like, oh, like something minor happened that normally wouldn't make me upset at all. And it would be like full meltdown city.
Yeah.
So that's when I started researching and came across like all the things I came across online and ended up getting assessed and diagnosed and all the things. But like, once I had that information and started seeing that this is a part of these diagnoses, that in and of itself was super helpful to me to like relieve some of the shame I was feeling, because it was like, I was just like, what is wrong with me? I'm an adult person. Yeah, I know I grew up kind of in a tumultuous way and I didn't have a lot of guidance when it came to emotions, but I'm an adult now and I know these things and I should be able to, I should, you know, you should yourself all over the place. Like,
Right. Because at the time you think that they're character flaws.
it's
you
a
don't know
character
that they're-
flaw. Yeah, you're like, I'm broken, I'm horrible, I'm mean, I'm out of control, how embarrassing, I throw a tantrum, like all these things that you think. And I was like, huh, okay, so that was one of the biggest reliefs and clarifications for me, was like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like it's not, I mean, it's not fine in that way, but like this is a thing
No, it's expected. It's
that
yeah.
people with these neurotypes go through, and I'm definitely not alone in this. And I had already started my podcast by that time, and I did have a lot of people reaching out to me by that time, sort of confirming that, yeah, me too, I have the same thing, I've done the same things. And that in and of itself was super comforting and validating to know that there were other people out there having the same experiences. And I think moving forward, the past several years since then, I think it was 2021 that I got my diagnosis, so it's been a few years, and being able to kind of like more most of my daughters here, more objectively look at things instead of shaming myself and being like, oh my gosh, I'm just a horrible person, and feeling very hopeless about ever being able to be different. Being able to objectively look at it and step back and be like, okay, data collection time. Like, when does this happen? What sets it off most often? What's the feeling I get when I feel myself getting there? What's the feeling I get when I'm at that point? What can be done to prevent? What can be done during? What can be done after? What's, you know, like you said, sitting down with the people here around most, you know, my partner and I have a lot of really good conversations about like, okay, like, here's what needs to happen in this situation. Here's what I can do in that situation. I need to be able to have boundaries. I need to be able to remove myself from situations. Even a situation like, oh shoot, battery low. It didn't shut off yet, I don't think. But okay, pause.
Keep your thought.
It's in my head.
Key change.
Do you know that song?
Yeah.
What's it from? Jeopardy, she knew it.
She's autistic though. She should totally watch this Jeopardy.
Grace?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't like running.
I hated anything with big words.
She likes learning about stuff she's interested in. She's not necessarily interested in Jeopardy.
I'm not a fact person.
I like Jeopardy. I'm
I like to
kind
learn.
of a factoid person. I never remember them. My working memory's horrible, but I like to know them in the moment. Okay, battery. Sorry guys, our battery was done. Ooh, reset. Okay, there you
How does it say that this battery has 1%?
go. Uh-oh.
Are we serious right now?
It was
You know,
charging,
I
right?
think I can plug it in, actually. This has been plugged in. What the hell? Can I not push down for it? I think there's something going on with that battery. This is not the first time I've had it. Still be bought?
I got it.
Okay.
No.
Is that right?
Woo!
Why haven't we been doing that this whole time?
Not enough power. You pull the whole power off next to a 5-volt 2-amp power supply. Okay, all right. What do we got? Buy that one. This one. Just let me know if this computer go with battery.
Okay, it's like fully charged right now, so it should be.
Okay. Okay. So we need to do this before we do.
That's slow.
This.
Uh-uh.
I think I could. Yeah, I think this comes off. Yeah.
Sitting there with the cord on the phone.
Oh, that's why this thing's in there.
Oh, there we go.
Mhm.
There we go. That's good.
We're packing with it. Oh. What is it? Oh, it's not on the cord. Let's see.
Okay. Did it shut off?
Is the red light blinking?
Uh-uh.
No.
There we go.
Doesn't look like it's. There we go. Now it's recording.
Now it's recording. Now red light is blinking.
Alright. All good?
Yep. Okay. So. Okay. Hiatus.
Okay.
Over. Okay. So, as I was saying, it doesn't even have to be. There can be like a little thing that can set it off. Like yesterday, literally yesterday, it's real hot here right now. It's like 115 degrees. I'm not exaggerating. Our AC isn't working too great. Our house is very hot, especially in the evening time. It's real hot in there. I'm sweating. It's uncomfortable. We're worried about our dogs. They're panting. There's a lot going on in the house lately because of the heat. And our back sliding glass door is broken. Like the track is kind of like broken, or not the track, but the frame of the door is dislodged, and it's like really hard to open and shut. That's part of the heat issue because there's now a gap in the door, and there's heat coming in. It's just like a whole thing. And I'm so mad about the door, and we've tried to have it replaced. It's so expensive. Anyway, I'm trying to open the door to let the dogs outside, and the door is not opening. It's doing the weird thing where it gets stuck, and I'm already overstimulated from all the heat and all of the things that have gone on throughout the whole day, right? And I finally get the door open. The dogs go out, and I slam the door. It was like a feeling that I'm very familiar with, and I'm like, I felt myself like getting there, and Gray saw me slam the door and was just like, babe, watch it. And I was like, in a loving way, and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. Gray's like, we don't want that door to break any more than it already is, right? And I'm like, yep. Mm-hmm. it's fine. And I just had to like remove myself, go to the back room and be like, okay, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm going to cool down. Literally, I'm going to get in a nice cold shower. I'm going to like try and regroup because I almost got so I could feel myself getting to the point where I was going to put my foot through the door or something. I was gonna kick the glass. I was gonna rage out. I was gonna throw a chair. I was gonna WWE my way off into the back patio. And I'm familiar with that feeling. Like I said, I've thrown things before. I've gone off the hinges. Danica's laughing at me, but like it's true. And it is funny after the fact when you think back and you're like, oh, that was a moment.
Well, my intrusive thoughts were telling me that one of the dog's tails was in the door when you did that.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Could
My
you
heart.
imagine?
Oh, my heart would be broken. I don't think I'd even be able to tell the story. I'd feel so bad. No, I did not slam one of my dog's doors in tails in the door. But
yeah, I had to
awful.
remind myself. I'm like, she's telling the story calmly, so it's probably not that.
No, God, I would be devastated. No, I just slammed it really hard after they went out, and I could. I'll get like these split seconds. It's like an intrusive thought where it's like a split second of like, grab the chair and throw it. And I'm like, no. And Gray just interrupting the thought and being like, babe, watch it. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're right. I need to get out. I need to get away from this door
Yeah.
ASAP. So it's just stuff like that where it's like one thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another throughout the day. And then I was hot, and then I was stressed, and then I was annoyed. And that was enough to get me to that point where I'm like, and I didn't get there. I just got there, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's a good illustration of the part that our partners can play, and how the part we can play as partners. Because as neurodivergencers stick together.
yes,
So there's usually two in the relationship. But I wonder if Gray in that moment had come up and just like rubbed your shoulders and said, I guess the same things or whatever, do you think that would have disarmed you a little quicker?
I think just hearing, I'm at the point now where like just hearing their voice and having them interrupt that thought was enough, where I was like, okay, if I started to get more upset, then maybe like a bigger action gesture would have been more helpful. But like, I don't know that I actually would have put the chair through the door, but that was the thought that was entering my head. And sometimes I do it. I'll just be like, I'm going to throw this thing, but it's not even that much of a cognizant thought.
Yeah, I'm disconnected where I like see myself doing it or hear the words coming out of my mouth. I'm like, uh-oh.
Right, where it's like, yeah, it's almost like a fugue state. It doesn't feel real, but I do have these snap little, and I have gotten to the point too with a lot of self-reflection and a lot of therapy and a lot of forethought about these situations where I've identified enough when I'm not in the situation in the heat of the moment. I'll almost try and put myself there so I can kind of like sense what the feeling is like, so I can recognize it when it's happening, because I'm like, when I'm getting there, this is almost like CBT-esque, right? Where or CB, well, I thought I said CBD. CBT as where you're like retraining that thought process of like, okay, I feel this in my body where it's going, and I need to shut it off before it's out of control. And it's not always possible. And I don't want anyone who's listening to feel ashamed if they're not able to do that, because I don't think anybody's able to do that all of the time. I certainly can't do it all the time. I've had moments where I've still exploded, even though I felt it coming on, and I'm like, this is happening, and I'm out of control.
Yeah.
So,
I think the people who are able to control that don't have emotional dysregulation. Like when they're, for all of us, I think that's the nature of emotional dysregulation, is that you can't regulate it.
sometimes it's going to happen.
Yeah. And so that's why it's by preventative measures and early intervention is so important.
Yeah, with work it can get better, but I don't think it's ever going to be perfect for me, and that's just something we have to accept if you have a propensity for that. Now, not every neurodivergent person does. My partner Gray is neurodivergent, ADHD for sure, autism suspected, but like they don't get like that at all. They don't have big emotional. They're a very sort of like one note person with minor variations here and there. It's never a big. So it's good that I'm with someone like that. So I
Yeah.
feel like if I was with someone who got,
A diffuser, someone who's able to diffuse.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But
And it's great because that means that your anger is probably almost always directed at something else, not at them.
right, yes, yeah, but there have been times where we've been in arguments where I've gotten really mad at them or really
Mhm.
upset about the thing that we were arguing about, and we've figured that out a lot.
Yeah.
We got that figured out a while back, but for a little bit it was a problem, just because they're a person that needs to remove themselves, and I'm a person that needs to keep talking about it, or I get really anxious,
Mhm.
and we would bump heads about that a lot. And now we've sorted it out, so we know what the other person needs, and we've found a way around, a way to
Honor
navigate
both of your needs.
where we can both, where we can meet in the middle there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
tough.
super important, and I think just now people are starting to realize how much work relationships are. Not just romantic relationships, every relationship. There's so much work involved in making sure that you don't trigger each other and act in ways that you regret, and that you're honoring and respecting each other's autonomy and needs.
Mhm.
There was something I started writing down my thoughts. The cutest little angel puppy. This is my favorite thing that ever happened in the universe, the history of the universe, right here. My special baby.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just the most special. And this elbow skin right here is pretty special. Okay. This is going to be really interesting to me. Okay, so a few things. I forgot to mention that one of my tools for anger is, so I see anger as a secondary emotion. And what I mean by that is I feel like it's a manifestation of hurt that spun out of control. So first we get hurt, then we get angry. Now, if you're somebody who's always turns to anger as your first emotion, there's probably no time between that. You probably go from hurt to angry immediately and probably can't even tell the difference. But it's really important because 9 times out of 10, the person who hurt you has no idea that they hurt you. So to be angry at them ends up being counterproductive because now they're not listening to you now that you've put them on the defensive. So here's an example. If you are walking and you stub someone's toe, or you step on someone's toe, you have no idea, and they just come up to you and go, "How dare you tell me you injured me, and I can't even believe you weren't even looking where you were going. What do you think you're doing? You didn't even apologize." Does that make you want to go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," or does that make you want to punch them in the face? So instead, if you go to someone and you go, "Ooh, man, you stepped on my toe, ow," then they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I did that." So part of it is it's a strategy for the discussion in general, but it's also a strategy to keep you from getting to that place where you're going to regret. And if that place is really, it's not productive. It's not going to help anything. It's most likely going to make things worse. So if you can, anytime that you can, if you feel yourself triggered, ask yourself, why am I hurting? And if you can just show that to the person who hurt you and say, "Hey, when this happened, it really hurt my feelings. And I know you probably didn't mean to," or if you can give them the benefit of the doubt and honor them first, that they're going to have no need to come at you with the same kind of aggression. They're because you're already arguing their point for them. Their point would probably be that they didn't mean to, and this is just a hypothetical. I know that all situations don't fit this, but the more you can kind of like start out on their side and give them the benefit of the doubt and then show them your hurt rather than attacking them for it, rather than retaliating, the more productive it's going to be and the easier it is going to be to diffuse the situation. Oh, that must have been why it ended, because I didn't. But they didn't show me one of those last time. Did they?
No, I don't think so. It didn't make a little jingle like that, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I'm missing some comments here. I'll get to those in a moment. Hi, to be fair. So,
What do you do when it's a door, though?
yeah, right. So, exactly. I'm talking about interpersonal conflict.
Interpersonal things, yeah, which can be a big trigger. I've kind of gotten over letting those things be a trigger for me, just because I think similarly to what you were saying, it gets to the point where you're like, you just sort of learn how to like avoid the set boundaries, avoid the types of things that trigger you. To me personally, I don't like the idea of someone else having control of my emotions, which is what it very much feels like when something like that happens. You know what I mean? Like, what they said or what they did is causing me to feel a certain way, and I don't like that. And I'm not going to let that happen. And also, the sun is going to swell into a giant ball in about 4 billion years and swallow everything around it, and none of this is going to exist, and it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, that just puts me in a depression spiral, so I don't go there.
Oh, see, that to me is hopeful. I'm like, none of this matters.
What's the point? So,
we're very different.
I like
on that.
But the good thing is that we're very self-aware, and so I'm able to like avoid that and accommodate myself.
Yeah.
In cases of a door, I think what I do, which isn't I think what I do, which isn't like super, it's not like a fix, but it's better than like destroying your property and upsetting everyone in the house.
Yeah.
Is that I show myself my hurt. I go into self-pity land of like, everything's not working today. Like the world is out to get me. And I just let myself like cry and sulk in my own misery of like, I have a black cloud over my head and everybody hates me.
Yeah.
And then like the serotonin comes rushing in because I'm crying, and then eventually it just dissipates. But I liked what you said about, you mentioned autonomy in your emotions, and I think that is super important in interpersonal interaction. Is giving people the benefit of the doubt and allowing them space to be self-aware themselves, and acknowledging that they probably don't work in the same way that you do, and allowing them a space to figure that out and be different. Just like you and Gray have that one place where you have different needs, but you allow each other to have those different needs, and you've found a way to work together with it. And another thing is, a big trigger for most animals is control. Like, something that's super interesting to me is dogs don't get aggressive, don't get territorial out in the open. They only do that in domesticated, because they're closed in somewhere. Like, there's this video that I watched. It's just this little viral video where there's a gate like going into someone's property, and there's a dog on either end, and they're like snarling and biting at each other through the gate, and the gate's opening, and they're following each other through the gate. And then as soon as the gate's gone and it's an open space, they're friends now. It's only when they're enclosed, and it really comes down to control. The more we feel out of control of our own life and actions, the more we feel smothered and trapped, the more panicky we get, and that can be a trigger. So you've got to allow yourself that space, and you have to allow that for others too. Not you, me.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Or you, if you want. Yeah, sure. Autonomy, if you want.
You do what you want. This is just what I do. I wanted to ask you about alexithymia. And I hope this doesn't go on too much of a tangent, because I have been exploring this topic for the last couple weeks. because somebody close to me has it, and I'm realizing, like, when I first kind of learned about it, I guess I had an unintentionally ableist view of it, of like, oh, well, you just need to get out your emotion wheel periodically and, check in with yourself and ask yourself what you're feeling.
Yeah.
No, otherwise it wouldn't be a neurological condition.
Right.
like by definition, you can't do that. So, and it occurred to me, and then, like, once I got to that point, I was like, oh, okay, well, that sucks for them. Happy to help them figure out what they're feeling. But then I started to see and realize how, by the way, sorry, I didn't explain alexithymia. Alexithymia is the inability to understand clearly what you're feeling. The emotions aren't clear to you, of like, oh, I'm sad, oh, I'm angry, you just know that something is going on and you don't know what it is. So then it occurred to me that if you aren't clear about your own emotions in certain situations, how can you possibly be a good gauge of somebody else's emotions and intentions in certain situations if you don't have a reference point? So there can be a lot of misinterpretation of, like, what somebody else is going through. So there needs to be that benefit of the doubt, that genuine curiosity of, like, are you mad at me? Instead of assuming that someone's mad at you. Or did you mean to do that? Instead of, you did that on purpose. Because I don't know about you, but when somebody assumes that I'm mad at them, it's like, well, if I'm mad at you, I want you to know. Otherwise, what's the point of being mad? To
You would
stress
know.
myself out?
Yeah.
No. I want to fix it. I want you to say you're sorry. I want you to whatever. So I think that, anyway, that's one of the reasons it's super important to check in with people and give them the benefit of the doubt and be curious instead of assuming, to avoid those kind of situations. But I wonder how somebody with alexithymia, and I know you're not a therapist, but do you know what kind of tools and helpful systems or tricks would help somebody with alexithymia?
No. Short answer, no. I've been a little bit on the fence about whether or not I have alexithymia. I have suspicions about people in my family maybe having it. Where, to me, I can identify emotions. Some emotions, though, if they feel very similar to one another, I have to think about it. Like, sometimes anxiety and excitement feel the same to me, where I'm like, I get the same feeling in my body and I have to think about the context. I'm like, am I excited or am I anxious? Because sometimes there will be something that you can be excited and anxious at the same time, don't get me wrong, but there are times when I'm like, wait, which one is it, or is it both? And then I can direct my behavior accordingly or whatever. So that's my experience with feelings in general. But I don't know enough about alexithymia specifically to kind of like know what may or may not to troubleshoot it, because it's like the fact that I can cognitively get there and be like, let me think this through. What thing am I feeling? Is that alexithymia? Can people with alexithymia do that?
Yeah, I don't.
Or are they just like not even able to sort any of it out? So if anyone has alexithymia,
well, here's what.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I know when I'm mad.
I know when I'm mad. Yeah, that's the only emotion you're sure about for
we
sure.
We haven't given away the fidgets. We will as soon as we're finished with this conversation. So the reason alexithymia came to mind was that there was a lot of, how are you feeling? What, or like there's just visible distress, and it's like, what is it? Is it anxiousness? Is it panic? Do you feel restlessness, or is it emotional? And thinking, searching, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's like a daily thing. And usually when you do something that often, you start to get faster and better at it, but it's still just I don't know. And so that's really difficult. I thought about like making an app where you can kind of go down a flow chart of like, let's start with positive, neutral, and negative.
Yeah.
Can we do that? And then we can go, maybe we can at least narrow it down to a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's difficult.
Yeah.
But I would, again, give the benefit of the doubt, because for me, you don't know if somebody has alexithymia, and they don't know what they're feeling. So it's always best to ask and don't assume anything.
And if you don't know, if you have alexithymia and you don't know what certain things feel like, that probably definitely makes it harder to empathize with what other people are feeling.
Right.
Or know what they're feeling.
Exactly.
Or
recognize it.
Yeah. And I think that's where some of like the empathy struggles come in, where it's not actually empathy. It's just like you can't sort out maybe what someone's feeling.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are two very different things. If you just don't know what you don't know, you know what I mean? So
right.
Ouch.
But if you ask and then you trust your partner with the answer, or your loved one, or whoever you're engaged with, it's really just about trust and benefit of the doubt. And remember that the more you can do these things, the more productive it is.
Yeah.
Getting angry and lashing out is not going to help anything or anybody, including you. It's just going to give you a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or neurodegenerative diseases.
And I will say, I want to add in too, that if you do feel like this is an ongoing issue for you, it might be worth exploring with either a knowledgeable doctor who knows enough about neurodivergence to kind of suss out what's going on, or a knowledgeable psychologist or psychiatrist, because I think there are a lot of co-occurring things sometimes, and maybe you need medication. Like maybe you're dealing with some underlying depression or an anxiety disorder or something that's causing your emotions. You might have the emotional dysregulation piece, but also something that's causing it to be more, like how I had extrinsic factors that were causing me to be more out of control than usual. If you feel like you're disproportionately out of control, like from your baseline, that's something to explore if you can't figure it out on your own, because there might be something else going on there.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because my medication has made me so much more emotionally resilient. In fact, Dr. Dodson in his talk talked about how the medication gives us like a emotional armor, he called it, which is 100% true. I have much more stamina to sit. I can face somebody who's triggered and go, okay, you're triggered, I understand, instead of getting sucked into it. And not only does it help when I'm on medication, but because I've been on medication for so long, so many days in a row, I think I was on it for probably like 200 days in a row without a day off. I think this is like my 5th day unmedicated or something in a row. And I had a moment where I was like, I would normally be crying my eyes out right now, but for some reason, I'm totally cool and can handle it. And I realized that it's because, like, it basically trained my brain, because I had been on this medication so long. I had gone through so many of these circumstances that would normally trigger me, but didn't get triggered, that it inherently formed a habit, a neurological habit for me. So now I just have more resilience because I've had the medications help for so long to develop that habit that would not have developed on its own.
It's like exposure therapy almost. Like you got exposed to the thing under like a
Yeah,
controlled
yes.
situation.
Like how they do with like PTSD
Yeah.
treatments with like MDMA and stuff, where they put you under, and you relive the thing, but this time it's under a controlled
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah.
state. And shoot. What was I gonna say?
Stretch a sketch.
I
I feel like that should be your next tattoo. An etch a sketch.
It has to not have anything on it.
It's just an empty etch a sketch, wiped clean. Should we answer some, or should we look through some comments?
Sure, and maybe give away some fidgets.
Yeah. Do our segments. Do we have anything else like big to say about this?
There was something about medication I was going to say. Oh, I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Again, like stimulants are known to have side effects that like ramp you up and stress you out, especially for those of us who are hypersensitive or autistic. Here's the thing is that what's happening is your norepinephrine's too high. So if, and this isn't medical advice, this is like generalities, this is a tendency. So if you identify with this, maybe talk to your doctor about this and pick their brain about it. But stimulants tend to bring up our dopamine and norepinephrine levels. And for a lot of us hypersensitive people, we're already high norepinephrine. So that just makes us super stressed out and our sensory issues go through the roof. There is guanfacine and clonidine that are alpha-2, the word is adrenergic, adrenal, Jesus Christ, agonists.
You got there.
Alpha-2 agonists. Guanfacine and clonidine. These lower your norepinephrine. They don't do anything for your dopamine. So a lot of times they'll use these just as like the only treatment for people. But if they have a dopamine deficiency, it doesn't do anything for their dopamine. But if your symptoms are from high norepinephrine, you can mitigate that with an alpha-2 agonist. And Dr. Parcells, who we'll have on soon, calls it the chill out med, the literal chill pill. So that's another thing. If you need medical help to kind of intervene and give you that extra stamina that you need to actually, sometimes we need that medical intervention just so it can put us in a place where we can actually approach the issues that need to be sorted out, because excuse me, because otherwise those issues would trigger us, just bringing them up at all. So like you said, sometimes it just puts you in that state where you can actually approach something and make progress. Yeah. Okay. So yes, ginger nerd agonist. It has to do with how the medication, how the molecule works with your receptors. There's agonists, antagonists, and partial agonists. It's neuroscience stuff. But if you just go to your doctor and ask them about how, guanfacine and clonidine work and would they be helpful for you, they'll know. Or hopefully they can Google. Okay, so who wants fidgets? I know that. Who was that person? Lena? Was it Lena that had the big, bold?
Lena, are you still there? They wanted a fidget for sure. Where are those fidgets? Do you have them?
Yeah, they're in that. Oh, that paper bag right there. Sorry, I have sleeping
Oh, that's okay.
It's a debilitating disease.
I need to get my butt unstuck from the chair.
Right here.
Cool. Yeah, I just secretly wanted to play with one. So.
Is that person even still here, Lena?
Lena!
Speak up. Speak up if you want fidgets. If you're in the U.S. and you're 18 or older, let us know. Who wants fidgets?
One of the blue ones are
There we go. It's these kind. These are so, I really like these. Oh, this is a bunch of different colors together here. Oh, yeah, they all-
Anybody? Say so in the comments if you want fidgets. I'll send them to you for free. As long as you're in the US.
Oh, you already have one.
Yeah, but these
Okay, Ginger Nerd. What you have to do is just DM me your address and tell me what color of fidget that you want. These are magnetic fidgets. They're called Stimags.
They're really cool. They're really fun to play with because
They're kind of clicky,
stick to each other.
almost like a clicky pen, but not as annoying.
Excuse me. I'll put that.
You can make little shapes with them. You can pull them apart. They look like a tool, so you don't look like you're playing with a toy in your office.
Yeah, they're very
Isn't
cool.
there supposed to be more than that?
No, they just give me all different sizes and colors. Okay, anybody else? Last call.
Speak
Who
now.
wants fidgets?
What are the color options? There's orange, light blue, purple, black. Oh wait, is that light blue? Light. It's more like a lavender. I like white. Dark purple. This color blue. I think that's it.
Green.
This. Yeah. There's like. Oh, maybe this is blue. This is like a periwinkle.
Yeah,
Purple.
it's like this color. No problemo.
All right.
Okay.
Segments.
Segments.
Let's do our segments.
Now it's time for friends and followers.
Okay. Both of mine today are podcasts.
Hmm.
I'm a podcast. Are you a big podcast person? I mean, besides doing a podcast.
No,
like-
here's the thing. I love podcasts. I don't have a situation in my life where it's good to listen to one. So I used to back in the day maybe listen to them on the subway or waiting for the bus or in my car. But now I don't really spend any time doing those things. I'm just all around the house or on my computer. And when I'm on my computer, I can't have other noise, or I'll be distracted.
Right.
So I don't even really sing anymore, which sucks. So I don't have a place where I get my podcasts. I don't really engage in podcasts because I don't really have a time to. I've been trying to watch B&E with Jordan because it's funny, but even that, like, when do I?
Yeah, I listen to
like,
podcasts
maybe in the
all
middle of the
time.
night when I'm can't sleep or something.
I mean, in my car, I'm listening to them, but I do have a long drive to school. When I'm doing any sort of housework, dishes, vacuuming, anything, podcasts, anything, making my cooking, podcasts. So I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Good.
Yeah. So,
I appreciate the podcast listener audience.
well, obviously.
We need more people like you.
Yeah, I'm kind of a podcast junkie. So, good. I'll go first. My first podcast recommendation. These aren't neurodivergent specific. They're just podcasts that I really like, but they have a neurodivergent bend. So the first one is a pretty popular podcast. It's called Armchair Expert. It's been around for a while. It's Dax Shepard. He's an actor. If you don't know, he's been in a lot of comedies. Employee of the Month.
Didn't he do Idiocracy?
Idiocracy. Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's married to Kristen Bell.
I love them.
Both of them are hilarious and adorable. And he does the podcast with his good friend, talking about male-female friendships. In the last episode, one of his best friends, Monica, who's obviously a woman, not my friend Monica. And I love this podcast because they do a lot of different things. They do interview celebrities, but they also interview experts.
Sorry, is this Armchair
Expert?
Expert? Okay.
Yep. So they interview experts on different things. They interview celebrities, but they also do other offshoot episodes that are just like little things that are fun. But what I really enjoy about this podcast, aside from the fact that it's just entertaining and something I can always kind of have on in the background and not feel too some podcasts are serious and you really have to pay attention and listen to every word. This was just kind of like a fun, lighthearted one. And I really like what Dax is doing. For one, I've clocked that he's neurodivergent.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know. He's mentioned on the podcast about like, maybe I have ADHD, but I don't know. And I'm like, dude, I need to tell you something. But he's just very kind of like open and honest about his journey with like addiction. He talks very openly about the fact that he was molested when he was younger, how that's been like a formative experience for him, and the ways that it's influenced his life, the, you know, very specific stories about his addiction and recovery journey. Just very kind of like open and honest and vulnerable, not only for a man, but for a celebrity, to sort of put all of this stuff out there and owning up.
He's really smart and insightful, and I'm sure like,
he's also dyslexic, and he talks a lot about that and normalizes a lot of that stuff where he's like, and he talks a lot about how he's got this complex about, you know, people. He's so afraid that people are going to think he's stupid, because when he was growing up, people did think he was stupid because it was the 80s and nobody was talking about dyslexia or diagnosing that. And so
and the working memory with my vocabulary is horrible. And so big words, I have whatever that stupid big word thing is that's a million letters long, which is the rudest thing.
The big word phobia.
Yeah.
What is it?
The fear of big words. It's like hippophobia.
And it's a longest word. Oh my god. That's so dumb that they made it a super long word.
It's so rude.
Yeah.
They don't even have
anyway, but that, like, you would not know that I'm smart because I have the vocabulary of a third grader.
Yeah. So Dax, armchair expert. Is a really good one if you haven't listened to it before. It's a really
I listened to it before, but I didn't know all that stuff. I've only listened to like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah,
so that's great.
It's good to hear a guy, and his co-host Monica is also really they're just a good pair together.
Yeah.
When 2 people come together and just it sort of works, it's just fun to listen to. So
that's cool. That kind of makes me want to recommend a different one.
Oh, well, go for it.
I will say that maybe I'll do that. I've had a couple of days off where I just let myself do whatever the heck I wanted, and I did watch a couple of podcasts on YouTube. And one of them is Wild Ride with Steve-O.
Oh, he was on Armchair Expert. I thoroughly enjoyed their interview.
Talking about addiction recovery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
cannot get enough of the addiction recovery story. I can't.
It's good.
I love the people that go through it. I love the stories. I love the growth, the insight. I love that each person has their own unique journey. The type of person who gets up every day with the cards stacked against them and still manages to it's just, I admire and honor and love those people so much. And they're usually super chill, funny, smart people who care a lot. And I can't get enough of that. I love it. So yeah, like Dax, he has people on there who, you know, have, not everybody, but he does have tend to have some people who have been through stuff like that or something adjacent.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wild Ride then is my next
Wild Ride, Steve-O. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
from Jackass, by the way.
From Jackass, yeah. I think we all know Steve-O, right? I mean, there might be a generation gap, where some younger people might not know about Jackass, or people who are not in the U.S. Okay, my second one is more niche, but it's something that appeals to me, and it's really interesting. And if you're a person who likes the topic of space travel, I said this is really niche. I don't know how many people out there are interested in
space travel. I think a lot of autistic people.
You think so? Okay,
God,
here we go. So there's a podcast that I found a while back called The Space Above Us. And it goes specifically through every single step from the beginning of space travel through, I think he just goes through the Apollo missions. He might go through the shuttle stuff too. I'm not sure if he goes all the way to shuttle. He for sure goes through all the Apollo missions though. Step by
that
step.
is some stinky breath, buddy.
Excuse
That
you.
is fishy.
Ooh, I'm just a dog, Mom. I'm sorry. No opposable thumbs. I cannot brush my teeth.
I can't pick my teeth.
So yeah, it's a really good podcast. He goes really in depth about every single, even from before they had actual manned missions. He goes through sort of like the beginning of space travel and how they were trying to figure out rocketry and how things would work and how they could potentially get a man even into the atmosphere at all, let alone to the
penetrate the atmosphere at an angle.
And that is for sure my biggest special interest is the space race. So that and the whole everything leading up to it. So that podcast to me has been.
Sorry, what was it called?
The Space Above Us. I listened to it on Spotify, but I'm pretty sure it's on Apple Podcasts too, and probably other places. So if that's an interest of yours, you might find that podcast really cool. And even if you're not interested in it, it's totally cool.
Yeah. So my next one is, I believe it's a show, but I've just been seeing their clips on social media. But it's called, I believe the show is called Smarty Pants. But I know that the username on Instagram that I follow is Smarty Pants Do. D-O.
Smarty Pants Do.
It's a fun little show with smart people, and I don't know what their criteria is for who's on the show. I don't know it that intimately. I just kind of came across it. But I believe it's people, it's comedians, it's science and interesting facts with a comedic spin. So you'll learn something, but you'll also giggle. And
I love that.
They like one episode they went into the WNBA and talked about all the like behind the scenes, like, did you know that so and so are married and this is the dynamic between them and blah blah blah, and this is why it's so much more interesting than, and they call it MNBA.
MNBA. Yeah.
Well, WNBA is much more interesting than MNBA.
MNBA, yeah.
And they always start with, when they say them both together, they start with WNBA and MNBA.
Yeah. Like, why do we get the W?
I love it. I love it. Anyway, you can learn all sorts of stuff. A lot of it is science. Some of it's just random facts.
It's a show?
I believe it's a show from what I read. I don't know if it's on Hulu or YouTube or what, but
interesting.
Yeah,
I like it. I like learning facts.
Yeah,
and I
it's
like fun facts, and I like laughing. So good.
yeah, it's a good show. It was really well put together.
Yeah.
I would like to know a little bit more about the qualifying factors of the people that are on it. Like, are these scientists? Are these comedians? Like, why are these people here
Are they
telling us about these things?
Comedians? Who knows?
Yeah. So that's mine.
Okay.
Next
Next segment.
Oh, character. You're such a character.
Our next segment is
You're such a character.
You're such a character.
You're such a character.
You're such a character, Courtney. Okay, you go first on this one.
Okay.
This segment, if you don't remember, we've done this one before. It's where we point out a character in a movie, TV show, book, somebody who's well known, who we relate to.
Yeah. And usually it's somebody, at least for me, it's someone that I've always related to but didn't know why, and all of a sudden now I know why. So my first one is, neither of mine are a surprise. But my first one is Red from Fraggle Rock with the pigtails.
Okay, I don't know Fraggle Rock.
Oh, she's the fun one.
Okay.
She's the one who's always interested in whatever you're doing and loves everybody and wants to play and wants to help people.
Okay.
And I've always identified with her in like a casual, like subconscious way. And then it just completely hit me with a ton of bricks when I was watching Fraggle Rock the other night. And there was a particular episode where she felt unhelpful and she got super depressed. And there was this whole arc with her where I was just like, oh my God, I'm Red. Red is me.
Wow.
It was
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Getting really deep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they've always.
Wait,
yeah.
so is Fraggle Rock still on, like, making new episodes? Or are you watching old? Because this was on when I was a kid.
Right.
And I remember watching it when I was a kid, but I don't remember anything about
They
it.
revamped it on Apple TV,
Uh-huh.
and it is beautiful. They use all the same puppets, all the same scenery.
Okay.
It's just more beautiful because it's, you know, reshot with new cameras and new lighting and stuff, and they have new themes. And instead of an old white man for the what's his name, the shop owner, it's a younger black lady.
Okay.
So they're kind of evolving, and the themes
More
are like
inclusive, that's good, yeah.
more inclusive. They're including more updated topics in their themes and stuff. And it's, God, I love it so much. I love it so much.
Okay.
So
that
it's
could
really
be another
like,
friend and follower too.
yeah. Well, I think it was.
Fraggle Rock. Oh, did you already?
Oh
did
no,
you
it was my first stimulation regulation thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's
Right.
definitely they redid it the way you'd want anything redone. It's perfect.
Okay. So
But yeah, Red is the energizer one who loves everybody and wants to do all the things.
nice.
Let me see if I can grab a picture. I'm sure you will remember.
Oh yes. Okay. Very familiar. Fraggle. Red Fraggle. Oh my
You see
gosh. I'm having like a memory unlocked. I haven't watched Fraggle Rock in 40
Do
years.
it. Do it.
That makes me
It's
sound real old, but it's true.
so cathartic.
Okay, so my first one would be very obvious to anyone who knows me well. From the television show Friends, Monica. I'm very much a Monica. Wait, do you watch Friends?
Yeah, I'm trying to connect the dots. Hold on. She's
The-
very germophobic. She's very uptight.
The level of neuroticism, the way she needs everything perfect.
Yeah.
The way she needs to control all the situations. When they have a party of some sort and they're all trying to play a game and everyone's trying to leave because she's just she just needs the game to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And they're like, she's like, they're not having fun, right? Like, I don't get like that, but I relate very deeply to that personality type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that the reason I'm not connecting the dots is because you seem like a really funny, chill person to me. And she was never really funny. She was always the straight man. She was always the uptight person that I never watched Monica and went, oh man, I gotta be friends with her, you know?
She's I always felt connected to Monica because I'm like, I have a lot of those same, I mean, it's an inflated character.
Sure, and it's two-dimensional.
Yeah, where I'm like, I relate to a lot. It's just like, it's sort of similar to the Sheldon character to me, where it's like, that's a very inflated version of what they're trying to portray. It's for TV and it's all overdone and over dramatized and whatever. But I'm like, Monica's the neat freak, germaphobe, control freak, you know, neurotic one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm very much that way on a lot of levels. I don't come off that way, I think. But I'm very much that way.
Huh.
Yeah, Monica, surprise.
Yeah, I don't see that part of you. I take your word for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're like that at home. You don't seem that way just
That's good. I got a good mask.
in the world, out in the world.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think I'm Phoebe.
You're very Phoebe. I can see that connection right away. I feel like the beauty of Friends is, and this is for me with a lot of shows that I enjoy, I feel like I can relate to every single character on some level.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I can see a little bit of myself in that person. And I think that's a really successful show.
Is it Lena? Is that Lena? I am his favorite girl.
Oh, have you gave away?
We did give the fidgets away. If you want one though, just DM me and tell me what color.
Yeah,
They're pretty much every color.
They're these stim mag ones, yeah.
As long as you're in the U.S. If you're in the U.S. and you're at least 18.
Ginger Nerd said, I get irrationally irritated by people who don't read board game rules. I get very weird about games sometimes in that sort of way, where it's like, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right.
Yeah.
But also,
I need to know what the game is going in. You can't just surprise, this is the rule. No.
Yeah, we got to read the rules. We got to read
and agree on them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, my second one. Oh, duh. I don't have to look at this. Okay, so my second one is super obvious and cliche. Rainbow Bright.
Oh.
Yeah. I've always been Rainbow Bright. Rainbow Bright has always been my idol. She is me. I am her. We are the same. We ride our magical rainbow horse and put our star sprinkles all over everything and love everybody. And, yeah. And it is my quest.
Oh my god. I'm partially laughing because mine is such a deep contrast to yours. These, your such a character choices sort of outline what two different people we are.
Do you know that I think have we done this twice? The 2 times I've used the GIF that shows Wednesday and is it Enid?
Wednesday and
Enid, yeah.
Very different. Because you're like, oh, Fraggle, so lovely. And I'm like, Monica, neurotic, control freak. And then you're like, Rainbow Bright. And my next one, hear me out, Dexter. We're going very dark here. I am not murdering people and putting them in the bay. That is not the part I relate to.
Listen, but if you have compulsions and you have that much self-awareness and thoughtfulness to use it for good and turn it, that's impressive. That is, you would hope that anybody with compulsions would go to that much work to.
He's a vigilante, which I'm also not. I'm not vigilanteing. I'm not doing any of that. But I think Dexter as a character, aside from the serial killing, is a super relatable character to me. He's very, he's sort of, I think the biggest thing is just feeling really different from everyone, trying really hard to not seem different, to blend in.
Don't give yourself away.
Don't give yourself away. Fit in, do what you got to do to make people see that you're human. And the experiences that he has, if any of you can stomach a show that shows a little bit of gore and blood and stuff, and you haven't watched Dexter, highly recommend, because the way he the trajectory of his character through the show, the growth, the relationship struggles he has, the internal struggles he has, it's all just it's a really beautiful story when you look at it as a whole. I freaking loved that show. Gray had to force me to watch it because I was like, I don't want to watch. I'm really into true crime, but I was like, I feel like this show is just going to be. I just heard a synopsis of what it was about, and I was like, I don't know, a show about just killing.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's going to be glorifying him as a killer, but it's really not. It shows the struggle and how to all of the awful, what if you were born with that? You know, that's not something you can control. Exactly. And so what do you do with it? How do you?
People are psychopaths.
Yeah, and it's so relatable to other things too. You can be born under these conditions that you have no control over. So what do you do with that? How much work do you put in to overcome that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I loved Dexter. So yeah, I do. I relate to Dexter. I see you, Dexter.
That's funny.
So here we are, light and dark once again.
That's hilarious.
Okay, final segment. Wait, no, that was it. Oh no, we have one more. Love-hate relationship.
Oh, now it's time for love-hate relationship, where we choose something that one of us loves and one of us hates, and we hash it out.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll go with the thing I love.
Okay.
And that is movie theaters. I used to live next to a movie theater in New York City, where they would hand out free screenings like twice a week. And I was going to these screenings like twice a week. I could not like the movie at all. I would totally go and see it because I love the movie theater. I love the romance around it. I love the popcorn, the pretzel bites. I love the cushy chairs. I love being totally immersed in something with no distractions. And I love being right up in the screen so that I'm just catapulted into another world.
Are you a person who sits near the front?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't with you.
Unless I'm like this.
We're never going to a movie together.
But if I'm like this and it's just my whole peripheral is the screen, I'm a happy camper.
You are just the most sensory seeking.
Oh gosh, yes. I love it. Yeah. If there's a lot of movies I'm not interested in. I'm largely just interested in comedy and documentaries.
Uh-huh.
But you really can get me to see anything except horror in a movie theater.
Okay, so I have the opposite opinion, obviously, because this is what the segment is. If there is a movie that I feel like warrants being seen in a theater, then I want to go see it in the movie theater, because there are some movies where you're like, that's a theater movie.
Yeah.
And you go see it. And I sit in the back row or as close to the back row as I can get, and I have to be in the center. I can't be off.
I agree with the center.
I don't know. People who come in and there's open seats available and they choose the side,
That hurts my neck.
Suspicious of you. I'm like, what are you doing way over there? You're off center. I don't like it. So movie theaters, to me, it's always freaking cold in there. I freeze.
Okay, yes. I do bundle up.
The snacks, fine. They're overpriced, though. I can't eat most of the stuff there because I'm vegan anyway. So I always end up having to pack my own snacks, which is kind of a bummer because I just, and I'm like, I also don't want to spend $50 on snacks.
Yeah.
Because they're so expensive. And like, I can't pause it. If I have to pee, I'm missing part of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to like dehydrate myself beforehand. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not drinking anything all day because I don't want to have to pee during the movie. Like, it's so much forethought and pre-planning, and I don't know. I think the alternative is sitting on my couch and watching a movie, and I like that way better because I can have my blanket and I'm on my couch and my dog's right there, and like I can have my own snacks and I can pause it if I have to pee, and that's okay.
I get it. And especially as a germaphobe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, like, sitting in chairs that have been sat in a bajillion times, and
yeah, I don't want to really touch anything. Everything's
finger
sticky.
food.
Yeah, everything's sticky. The bottom of your shoes are like getting stuck to the floor. I want to put my feet up, but I'm not a person who likes to put my feet on the back of the chair. I don't know. Theaters. I'm going to see a movie in the theater soon. It's the new Nicolas Cage movie that's coming out called Long Legs, and it is a horror film.
Mm.
And that is one that I want to see in the theater. So I will go see it there.
How do you feel about the experienced luxury theaters that have the recliners and like couches? And
I haven't been to one of those.
Oh, okay.
So maybe
I even found one that had like bean bags and stuff up front. Like you could, like it's like a living room area in the front, and then there's private like love seats and stuff.
San Jose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The big cities. Like I think the one I was talking about was in LA or something.
Gray went to a movie at Edwards where now they have like the interactive movie
4DX,
where the 4DX where you're sitting in a chair that like moves.
Ooh.
So you might like this. Gray was like explaining this to me, and I was like, this sounds freaking horrible. The seat moves, like stuff. If there's water, it like sprays water at you. It's like a total.
Yes!
There's wind. It's like blowing air on you.
As long as it's done well. If it's like obviously, if it's like going to a Chuck E. Cheese where you're like, where you hear the thing go, like.
I don't know, but I was overstimulated just hearing about it. I was like, that sounds terrible to me. Gray did go see Harry Potter movie in a theater like that shortly after it opened, and came home and did confirm that they also did not like it as much as they thought they would. They were like, it was a little much. I do have to say, but you might like it you might like it
if it's done well. If it's
give it a go.
Integrated with the movie well enough to where it actually adds to the experience.
Yeah.
But if it's like one of those old, mechanical animal things, those like,
You're just like distracted at that point.
Yeah. I wonder if you might be. Have you ever tried guanfacine?
No.
Because it's, I mean, basically the thing for being overstimulated.
I'm sometimes understimulated though. It just depends
Yeah.
on the situation. So what is that okay?
Well, yeah.
I need to take two different things to count. To counteract
Well,
the
I mean,
guanfacine.
if you're if you're talking about a dopamine deficiency, then yeah, you gotta do what I do, which is the stim and then the guanfacine and
Yeah.
probably even a beta blocker. But I think you would benefit from guanfacine just on its own too.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a lot of your troubles are being overstimulated and
Oh, it's true. It's
oversensory.
That's why I can't go to Walmart.
Yeah, I get that. I can't go to Walmart either, but
Walmart's a lot. I love Target. Target is fine. Target's small enough and I know where everything is. Walmart is like
so overpriced.
so massive. It is so overpriced. It's a struggle.
Just hurt me.
I know. Okay, our second one. We need to talk about
Go ahead, tell me how much you love it.
The second thing that we're disagreeing on is mayo. Mayonnaise. Courtney doesn't like mayo. There are a lot of people in the world who don't like mayo.
And so why is it on everything?
It is on a lot of things, isn't it?
It's a California thing.
So
No, it's not.
It's not. There's mayo
Everywhere,
Lots
even
of
in
people's
Mexico.
mayo, yeah. So what is it that you don't like about mayo? Is it the taste? Is it the texture? Is it all of the above?
It's the whole thing combined.
Okay.
So that texture with that taste,
Uh-huh.
I can't.
It's
It's
like-
like
it's creamy.
gelatinous, but
Oh.
also it's like wiggly, but
So what about when it's in something like say if you're a person who eats fish, like a tuna fish sandwich? Like if it's mixed in.
Oh, stop it.
Oh God, I'm sorry. Okay.
I think the worst, the like epitome of how gross it is to me is
Oh, God.
I go back to Pee-wee's. I think it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee maybe, where the movie starts out with a picnic with his girlfriend and she's got an egg salad sandwich and she gets like egg salad on her mouth.
That's not Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It must be the other one.
Must be Big Top Pee-wee.
Must be Big Top Pee-wee.
Which would make sense because I think I watched that one more than anything. Okay, so I have a law. I'm probably the pickiest person I've ever known, and it's not fun. It sucks. But wait, you're vegan, so how do you even like mayonnaise?
There's vegan mayo. Yeah, and before I was vegan, I liked mayo, and then now they have
I can't bring
vegan
myself
mayo
to do it.
that tastes exact to regular mayo. The thing about mayo is, though, there is a line with how much you're using that should not be crossed. I've definitely had experiences where I've ordered a sandwich and it has mayo on it. I'm fine with mayo, and it comes with so much mayo, and it's like, I'm just like, this is too much. Who would put this much mayo on a sandwich and think that's okay? Because it's like, it's all you can taste. I'm like, this may as well just have mayo on it. No. Okay, you're having a very strong aversion to even talking about mayo.
So not only do I dislike mayo, I have trauma around mayo.
Okay.
Because I was
Mayo trauma.
I was on the Ricky Lake show
You were on the Ricky Lake show?
in, I think it was her last season.
Shut up. No, you were
And
not.
it was a game show episode
What?
where it was called I Will Do Anything for Money. It was very not politically correct, and I'm sure they don't air it anymore.
Was
I'm sure they
anything
do.
on Ricky Lake politically correct? I'm not sure. But that
I'm-
show slapped.
There is footage of it, I believe, on YouTube. Don't go watch it. It's not flattering. I was like 19 or something, and
I'm so jealous you were on Ricky Lake. I used to love that. Was my after school show.
okay, so me being probably autistic and really super picky, real bad emotional meltdowny stuff, and hating mayo. I go on the show. Excuse me. She pulls me from the audience to participate, And I'm biggest people pleaser. Being on a game show is like my favorite thing in the whole world. She says, Courtney, do you like White Russians? Oh, I must have just turned 21 because I remember when she said White Russians, I was like, yeah, because I had just like discovered White Russians.
Yeah,
and
White
loved
Russians
them.
are delicious. I don't even drink alcohol anymore, but
So she said, do you like White Russians? And I went crazy. Yeah, just like eating up the attention and the spotlight and everything. Out, she says, okay, come on out. And it's two big Russian men with their shirts off.
oh Lord. Okay, that's already offensive.
These
It's
are
already
very
crossing a
large
line.
men
Yeah.
with very hairy chests and belly.
Okay.
There's glass in their hand with a spoon.
Oh God.
And I go, oh, goody, vanilla pudding.
No, it wasn't. I already know.
It was not vanilla
It was
pudding.
not vanilla pudding.
Scoop, whoosh, all over their belly. Wiped it all across the front of them. Covered themselves in mayo.
I did not.
It was me and one other girl. I had my quote-unquote White Russian, and she had hers.
This is
And
getting into my germophobia now. It's not even the mayo part.
Ricky starts a 60-second timer to
No.
see who can lick the
No.
most mayo off of their man's
No,
belly.
not men. And men.
Yeah.
Sorry, men, but I'm not into it. So, if you don't know. Oh, Lord.
Me, with full enthusiasm and equal amount of horror, did what I had to do. Took one for the team. Won.
You did what?
I
Okay,
won.
was gonna say,
I still have
okay,
that pair of diamond earrings, and I won a trip to Europe that I went on with my dear friend Kelly. It was amazing.
Oh, I would do that for a trip to Europe. You didn't say there was a trip to Europe.
Well, it was later. It was after a few. I had to win a few challenges to get that stuff. But
shoot.
I was a good sport, and I took it. But now I'm massively traumatized and barfed, and then oh god, it was I can taste it.
So you already didn't like mayo.
I already hated mayo. Hated. Like wouldn't touch anything with mayo on it.
So that was
And
a
then
big.
that happened.
Okay, that was a big ask then.
Yeah.
Because even for me, someone who doesn't mind mayo, that would probably put me off of mayo for a good minute.
Yeah.
That experience. So, wow, that is true. I thought you were, when you said you have mayo trauma, that was not the story I was expecting. I thought you were like,
Nobody
oh,
does.
my mom used to put mayo on my sandwiches and made me eat them. Like, I was thinking something way more normal and innocuous than I had
Nope.
to lick mayo
Real, literal trauma.
on television off of a giant hairy man.
Yes.
All right. Well,
So
I think that is a perfect way to end this episode.
don't come at me with mayo. Also, it does remind me of certain bodily functions that. And so anything that I see that resembles mayo, I can. Jared's mom the other day made this dip she had strawberries and it looked like a giant bowl of mayo. And she was like, oh, you should try this. It's dip. And she's dipping the strawberries in it. And I'm gagging.
was it like cream cheese dip or something?
And she's like, oh, it's dip. And I'm like, do you mean like, is it like marshmallow cream and cream cheese or something? Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh, that sounds delicious. I can't. Looking at it, it looks exactly like mayo. I can't bring myself.
You can't even.
I
eat something
tried
that
so
looks
hard.
like mayo.
I tried so hard. I was like,
Wow.
can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
God. Okay. Well, no judgment here.
Yeah.
It's
So.
real. The struggle is real.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hungry
So if
now.
Gray ever wants to go to the movie theater, I'm down as long as it's not horror.
You don't like? Are you not a horror fan at all, or you
No.
just don't like watching them in the
Blood and
theaters?
guts is.
Okay.
I can't handle.
We'll have to talk
blood and
about that on
I
our next
can-
love-hate relationship.
I could do it if it's really if it's like Game of Thrones, where there's like a lot of meaty lore and drama and stuff weaved in between, and the violence is necessary to convey the story. But horror is so poorly written, and I already, as an actor and a writer, I hate how they're written. They're dumb.
You gotta be selective with your horror. I don't like just gratuitous gore, like gore for just the sake of it. So I watched that movie Hostel. To me, that movie was just like, it was just gore. It was just like people getting chopped up, and I'm like, this isn't scary to me. It's just gross. I like the like suspense part of it, and like I do need kind of a good deeper storyline where you're like not really knowing what's happening, and the acting is good, and like it's not just all about gore. I actually don't like gore that much. That's why I was resistant to watch Dexter, because I was like, and The Walking Dead. Ray also wanted me to watch The Walking Dead for a long time, and I was like,
started about zombies,
and I was like, ooh, that show seems really gory. Like I'm not about it, and I actually really ended up liking The Walking Dead. The storyline is amazing.
Yeah, I heard that it was like a soap opera for men.
It's
like men were finally allowed to watch soap operas.
Maybe
through Walking Dead.
It wasn't as much about the zombies as I thought. It was a very much showcasing the dynamics, the human dynamics of an apocalyptic situation.
Yeah.
So
but also
it was pretty.
And I hate zombies. Zombies are so dumb. I don't understand them. They're stupid. I can't get on board.
They go and that.
It's not an actual thing that would ever happen. The lore doesn't even make sense. It's not even something that could theoretically happen. It's not even pseudoscience. It's just dumb. It doesn't make it. It's stupid.
But it's fiction. So it's okay.
Do your thing.
Zombies aren't real either, Courtney.
Enjoy your zombies, people. Enjoy your zombies. I'm gonna be over here watching Rainbow Bright and Fraggle Rock.
We need to start making our list for love-hate relationships.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a long one. And that's okay. People can be friends and have different opinions and interests.
And I'm not gonna shit all over somebody liking something.
I'll eat all the mayo you don't want.
Yeah.
You can go with
I
my
need
partner
people
to
like
the
you
movies.
around for when I order something and they get it wrong, and I'm like, I can't eat now.
I'll be like, oh, I'll eat that, and we'll buy you a new one.
They say people who have opposite things last longer in friendship wise.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. Friends forever, I guess.
Do you like lemon and lime Skittles?
Are those the sour Skittles?
Lemon and lime. Is that two different flavors of Skittles?
Yeah. I mean, like in the bag of Skittles, if someone just grabbed all the lemons and limes, would you be cool with that?
I don't not like them. They're not my favorite color in the bag.
Oh.
My favorite color in the bag is red.
Oh, okay. Me
Yeah.
too.
You're
But I also like purple, red and purple.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn away a green or a yellow Skittle, but sometimes they taste like household cleaners.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, we're on the same page with that.
Right.
Okay, good.
I'll find somebody else to send all my yellows and greens too.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Haters.
Oh,
Cool.
nice.
So, hey, feel free to just come on and not know what this is about at all and just shit all over us.
Yeah.
Good idea. Way to add to the world, you know.
It's fine. We don't-
I'm so chilling until I'm not as random. Oh, okay. This is about the anger, I think.
Yeah.
Dinner Tuesday afternoon matinee by myself. Yeah, see?
Yeah,
In
great.
an empty theater in the
It's-
PJ. I'm down.
it's
Down,
good that,
Ginger. You're coming to my commune.
My partner, Gray, is totally cool with going to the movies on their own. So they do that a lot because I'm not a big movie person anyway. And in the theater, it's even just like harder to get me to get into it. So,
Yeah.
Movie theater, date.
My son just turned 15 today and has ADHD. No meds taken because it killed her personality and appetite for food.
Killed
Any
his
advice
personality, I think it meant.
For him in the coming years. Okay, so this is a pretty long topic. I'm sorry, they don't show me your username on Facebook. So I'm just gonna call you Facebook user. If you want to tell me your name, I'll be happy to address you by your name. So it's what you're describing as a very individual experience that's even hard just for your individual doctor to navigate. But I have some general tips and stuff. Please go watch my Neuroscience of ADHD video series that talks about medications. Please stay tuned because we're going to have Dr. Lynch Parcells with us, I think next time, right?
No, next time.
August
No,
4th?
into.
Oh, next time's Brave Dave.
Next time. Yeah.
I think she's in September.
Spoiler
September 28th. When she's on, we're going to go through all the different meds and how they act in the body and how everybody's different and what certain ones can do. The whole like killed their personality thing just sounds like, that, I mean, we all pretty, you don't have to take the medication every day. You can take it just when you need to be particularly focused. Like for me, it kills my personality, yes. But it's great for when I need to get shit done. So if I'm working and I need to be focused that day, I'll take my meds. If there's a day when I need to kind of be responsible and not lose my phone every 5 minutes, but I don't have to be totally focused, I'll just take half. And then sometimes when I just want to be free in myself and creative and happy and giggly and silly and weird, I won't take my meds at all. So you really can just navigate, different times and scenarios when it's right for you. And talk to your doctor about that. Talk to your doctor about like, hey, and other professionals that you work with, therapists and teachers and
whoever is knowledgeable.
Yeah, just like when do we think it's good to be medicated and when it's not, and also talk about dosage. If you really think that your child is like super zombie-ish, maybe you want to go down in dosage a little bit. So there's lots of options.
Yeah, I would add that I have two differing opinions on meds. For one, don't give up on medications necessarily just because you had, I don't know how many experiences you had or how long your son was taking meds, but sometimes you have to try different ones because there are different types and they work in different ways, and maybe one might not work as well as the other. Also, there can be an adjustment period when you're starting ADHD medications. Again, I don't know how long your son was taking them, but sometimes the appetite suppression stuff will kind of taper off a little bit more the longer you're on them and your body gets used to them. So I do know those two things. But also, if it turns out that your son doesn't tolerate the medications well, you try different ones, you work with someone knowledgeable, you're just not getting anywhere with it, that's okay. I'm an ADHD person who's not medicated. I've never been medicated. And there are pros and cons to that. I've really had to adjust my life in certain ways to accommodate myself, set myself up for success in many different ways, as far as like planning, scheduling, calendars, lists. I have all kinds of things, routines. The fact that I'm autistic too kind of helps with that. But
it takes years of like setup and self-awareness and work and structuring your life to accommodate the ADHD if you decide to go down that.
And if you're working with someone who can help you do that, it sort of streamlines the process. An ADHD coach, for instance, like Courtney is. And I would say the main decision is up to your son. What makes him feel most comfortable and happy in his journey? Does he want to keep trying meds? Does he want to try and establish a different way without meds? Like, both ways are possible. It's just very individual.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I forgot to talk about. I do have another video that's should I medicate my child? Watch that one too. That one really goes into all the different dynamics and making that decision. And she's absolutely right. Talking to your kid is probably the most important thing you could do, and having them have a voice in their treatment. That's going to avoid a lot of trauma in adulthood. I have a lot of I talk about how some of my biggest trolls are people who are just traumatized because they were either over medicated or medicated against their will as kids. And so now they're just totally anti-medication and they go on this like rampage against medication. And it can be very helpful for most people if it's done right. Unfortunately, we learned from Dr. Dodson that 93% of psychiatric programs don't talk about ADHD, so most doctors don't know how to properly treat it. So you really have to do your due diligence in what medications are out there, how they work, what's best for your child, what symptoms your child is showing, what your life dynamics are, how they feel about it, how they feel on it. Yeah, so just make sure that your son is part of the decision making.
Yeah, at 15, that's definitely old enough to be involved in the conversation for sure. New message. Let's see. Oh, I don't know how to make this go up and down.
Sounds good. Oh, just get your mouse off of it. There you go. Sounds good. I watch and listen to your. Oh, wonderful. Great. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
I
watched
think
that
that-
video. I kept him involved since he was 9. That's good.
Yeah, I think the Should I Medicate My Child really does a good comprehensive view of making those decisions. But good, first of all, good for you for being so attentive to your child and reaching out for answers and help. That's really honorable, and that's something that most of us didn't get.
Yeah.
So you're already ahead of the curve. So thank you for being a great parent. All right.
All right.
Is that it?
That's it.
Goodbye. I feel like we should have some sort of like goodbye thing so we stop forgetting to say goodbye.
I know. We do forget to say goodbye. We're doing the Irish goodbye. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Where you just leave?
Yeah. I don't know. Is it Irish? I'm not sure.
Bye-bye.
All right, my friends. We love you. Please stay weird. Promise me you'll be weird when we get back.
Yeah. Keep it weird, always.
And we'll see you next time. Next time we'll have Brave Dave. Isn't that exciting? Do you guys know Brave Dave?
If you don't know Brave Dave, go find him on TikTok. He's hilarious, and I'm super excited to talk to him.
I know.
Yeah. All right, we'll see
It'll
you
be a
guys
fun time.
next time.
Does anybody else want to fidget? Fidgets.
Before we go,
Going once, going twice. If you do, you gotta be in the US, you gotta be at least 18. All you gotta do is say that you want to fidget, and then you can DM me your shipping address and what color you want. Any takers?
no takers.
Nobody? Nobody? Going once? Going
Bueller?
twice?
Bueller?
All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you, my friends. Thanks for hanging in there. We love you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Don't forget to follow us so that you can actually get notifications for these things when they're happening and stuff.
Yeah, follow us. Yes, follow us on the platform Keeping It Weird.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Sayonara. Our first troll.
The way people waste their life.
Are we still filming on here? We are.